Well, hello YouTube, here we are with another video in the Cargo Trailer to Camper series. It's going to be a long line of videos, so we are basically at the beginning, so I guess here we go. After many days of rain and cold weather, we finally get a week where it looks like it's going to be warm, so that means, well, it's time for the priming of the trailer. So of course I need to come in here with masking tape and such, or paper, whatever I can score, and mask off all the areas where I do not want paint and primer to be. You know, like the windows, like the roof vent here, the lighting, all that silver around the back door area all has to be masked off. The light switches, you know, around the door, the RV door has to be masked off. For good measure, I'll either de-install the D-rings in the floor, or I will tape them, even though they're going to be covered and really no one will ever see them, but if you're going to do it. So I think what I'm going to do is bury this in a couple of good coats of primer first, and see how well or how much the primer soaks in to this wood, and then we'll go on back through and deal, you know, with some of the roughness and imperfections after it's been primed. That way you're not ripping down the plywood that's on it to get the smoothness. You're sanding and perfecting the actual coating, the primer itself. And if it happens to work out a lot better first time around than what I think it's gonna, then we'll throw some more paint on it. If we're not, because we got her masked off, we'll hit her with another coat or so of primer and take the round from there. So basically guys, gonna break out the masking tape there, start throwing tape, and where it sticks is where it's gonna be, so let's get at her. Well, there we go. Of course, got all the windows and everything all taped up. All the areas that I didn't want paint on or primer and paint on, they're all good to go. I removed the one vent cover from that top left hand corner. However, I left this one here because it doesn't really matter if we get paint on it, because I am going to change that out. They must have used tin snips or something to cut the round hole in this here trailer, because it looks pretty jagged, but I guess it does the trick. Everything's, like I said, all masked, all good to go everywhere I don't want paint and primer, so I guess let's get some coverage on these walls and see how it turns out. Well, here we are. The primer is all dry. Had a little heater going in here to speed up the process a bit. We got fairly good coverage on the walls. If you want to say, probably the thinnest coveraged area is right here at the front in the V-nose. However, 90% of that wall will be covered eventually by cupboards. So it doesn't really totally matter there. However, the side walls here are covered really well. The only thing is of course, once they got primed, they ended up being a little on the rough side, or rougher side than what they were before. So I think I'm going to fire up my sander and give them a gentle sand. Not, you know, super crazy, but gentle enough to remove some of the abrasiveness. May end up having to sand after the first coat of paint as well. So we'll have to see what shakes out from there. All in all, the primer went on fairly well, soaked in where it needed to soak in. Did its job essentially, and well, really, when it comes down to it, that's all that matters. So of course guys, going to get things set up again for another round, another day. It's supposed to be a beautiful hot one, so we will work as long as we can, and then well, When it gets too hot, I'll shut her down for the day. And what doesn't get done today will be here, well, for me tomorrow. Just finished doing the sand on the walls all the way around. I gave it a good sand to remove the roughness as well as the fuzzies. Ran over and hit the ceiling again with the sander, got everything squared away there. It sure changes the texture, if you want to say, of the material once you've sanded it, because it removes all the roughness, or majority of the roughness. Now, of course, you know, it's the nature of the utility grade plywood is still going to have some roughness to it. However, by sanding it, you've removed, you know, the bulk of it. It'll still have its ripples and its texture, but it's not going to be, well, rough like sandpaper. Now, of course, if it happens to show up again after, you know, a coat of paint or two, then we'll sand her down and do it all over again. But I think generally this is pretty much a good start. Hit her all the way around. I haven't quite set exactly on the colors I want to use yet. I think we're going to have a light ceiling, like white or off-white. Then probably a tannish type of walls. I do have some paint from previous jobs that I'm probably going to try to use up rather than just letting it go bad in the can. So I have to go down and see what I have in my collection. See what colors I can mix together to get enough quantity to do what I want to do. And if and when I get me a shade that I like, then we will throw it on the walls and see what happens. But pretty much, guys, of course, give everything a good clean up here. Get things all squared away. Probably start by giving the ceiling a good coat of paint and then work our way around from there. Project. So, of course, let's pop her on open. And we have a beautiful 97 Fahrenheit in here, or 36 Celsius. I'm not 100% sure where I was when I last left off. However, I'll give you a quick rundown. As you can maybe kind of see, the primer's on the wall. It's been sanded down and smoothed on out. The roof has got 2 coats of really good paint, really good coverage on the roof. There might be 1 or 2 spots that needs to get brush touched, but that can be dealt with as time goes on. Well, over here in the corner, you see that color. That's going to be the wall color of the trailer here. There was a little bit of a test patch done yesterday just to see, and I think that color is going to work on out. So of course, it's supposed to be another beautiful day out, a great day to get some paint going. The heat will dry the paint and everything will be great. So of course, I'm going to probably end up getting the walls and stuff painted. I only have 1 gallon of the brown paint, so I'll have to make a run down to the paint store before they close for the long weekend and pick up another gallon or 2. And then that way I can continue working as the day progresses. So yeah, let's get all set up and get her done. Well, there we go. Got the wall color on. It turned out fairly well. There's 2 coats on there. The first coat soaked up, of course, a lot of paint. And the second one used far less paint, but went on way easier than before. Of course, it's good and coated. I've already started to pull the tape around from the lights and stuff onto the ceiling. Once this is dry, I'll come on back and pull the tape off of there. I want to give the floor a sand down, a really good cleanup, and then coat it with some color. I'm not sure what I'm going to use. Ideally, a darker color would be nice. I'm torn between painting it and not painting it, mainly because I'm going to put linoleum down eventually, and it's just a matter of time before that happens. However, underneath, you know, the bed, the cabinets, things like that, I wouldn't mind to have to be protected, especially underneath the bed, because that's where stuff's going to be slid in and out, and you know, there could be grease or drips or water that gets in there over time, and a little bit of protection could go a long way. Once again, I'm not too worried about that vent there having paint on it, because it's going to be changed out. Plus, I don't have the screwdriver to take those fancy screws out. It must be something proprietary or a weird size that I don't have, so I'll have to go hunt for the appropriate size. But, you know, considering this was a utility grade cargo trailer, the paneling and everything was utility grade, a little bit of preparation, it turned out okay. If I ever had to do it again, well, of course, I would order one unlined and then use a little better quality of material, maybe do the first coat out of the trailer, and then come back and do the second coat when it's hanging. But hey, there's always next time, if and when that happens. But pretty much, guys, of course, let's let this baby dry. We'll come on back and start working on the floor. Okay, guys, so here we go. The paint is all dry. It's been a couple of days since the first part of this here video. We had some stormy weather roll on through, which slowed the process down a bit, but you know, it's all good, right? Well, just finished going on through and pulling off all the tape from all the areas that didn't want paint on, and I haven't done the final assembly, if you want to say. Like, went on through and tightened up the switch plate covers back down, or put this vent cover back on. Partly because, well, with this vent cover, I'm thinking about changing the cover to more of a screened in style, with maybe an opening and a close-in to let air in, kind of a way to block it off or to let her open. And this one back here, well, it's probably gonna get ended up either blocked off or changed into a power port. On most sites that I go to, the power is on the left-hand side of the trailer. So I'm torn between changing that to a power port or blocking it off. If I blocked her off, then I wouldn't have to go through all the hassle of changing it out. Or if I were to change it out, I'd have to get an extra 14-foot extension cord to reach the other side of the trailer. I didn't get fancy and unmask the D-rings yet, front and back. I really didn't see the need in doing it, because, well, there'll never be anything tied down in this here trailer. And basically the front D-rings will be covered and no one will ever see them again, and the back ones basically will probably have carpet over top of them in the storage area, so they won't really be seen either. Well, the paint turned out fairly well. Again, for this being a economy grade or rough grade material, it turned out fairly well. You know, there are certain areas that if I got the air nailer going, I might squeeze some glue in there and shoot a couple of nails in and then just use touch-up paint. But now that all the tedious work is done, if you want to say, now we can branch out to doing the actual building of the trailer here. Probably going to start at the nose, starting with the cupboards. I got a way of tracing a template for the nose, and then we'll throw some measurements to decide on how big we want to go, how tall, all that good stuff. Is it just going to be a counter with braces under it, or is it going to be an actual cupboard with doors or drawers or so? And is there going to be an upper? The upper cabinet, of course, I don't want it totally in your face, so it will be, set back. Now, by the time you set it back in here, it's going to be fairly shallow until it reaches, that low point there, but then it's going to be narrow. So you won't really be able to get much in there except maybe a couple of tea towels, a kettle, maybe a small container of cutlery, but again, we will cross that when we get there. But pretty much, guys, thanks for joining me on this here part of the cargo trailer to camper build. Its project is just beginning. It will be an interesting project, and plenty more parts to come. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.